Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Good to be together. I always enjoy being in the Gay Buddhist Fellowship and feel at home being in an LGBT group. Feel as a teacher, I always allow myself to be a little bit more vulnerable in my own sharing when I'm in a community like this. I want to just briefly mention a couple upcoming retreats I'm teaching. The San Francisco Insight Meditation teachers, Howie, Eugene, Anushka, Victoria, and myself are teaching a retreat at Spirit Rock coming up at the end of July. A rare retreat where it's all San Francisco teachers. And of course, 3 of us are LGBT, so would love to have anyone join. And I have a Metta retreat I'm teaching in August at Spirit Rock. Just to mention too, on the team leading the next teacher training, a joint teacher training with Spirit Rock and Insight Meditation Society that will begin in January of next year, and 24 new teachers, and I believe it's 10 or 11 are LGBT. So a lot of new LGBT teachers coming in. There's 3 new gay male teachers. Very happy to see that. Jeff called me or sent me Jeff Lindemood sent me a text message last week saying, I have an idea what I want to speak about. And kind of spontaneously said, let's talk about love. Let's talk about love. This is my Metta season where I practice with Metta for about 6 weeks is my primary practice. So it feels right to talk about the pure love of Metta. Metta, everyone familiar with Metta? Anyone not? Okay, some people are not. Metta is a basic kindness, basic friendliness, benevolence. It's sometimes referred to as pure love. It's referred to as pure because there's no attachment. There's no conditionality of this person needs to behave this way or that way for me to be kind to them. So with our practice, we're called upon to cultivate this form of love, this form of pure love, this quality of the heart. The Buddha calls it a beautiful quality of the heart of Metta. So it's really important to our practice. The Buddha talked about cultivating, practicing with Metta as being key to our practice to realize the truth of the way things are, to free the heart and mind from confusion. And it's important to recognize we are meant to live in love. We're meant to live in love, we're meant to live in happiness, and we're meant to live with an open and caring heart. If we all reflect deeply, how do we want to be in the world? Most of us would probably say we want to be in a world with love, with an open heart, being able to feel compassion, being able to feel joy, kind of allowing our hearts to be undefended, to be open to the fullness, the richness of our lives in the world. An undefended heart that we don't need to protect or build walls around. And the Buddha taught this is very important to our practice to cultivate this quality. You could say the true nature of our own minds and hearts is to be loving, and that our hearts are inherently pure. But we need to practice in some ways to open to this. Most of us do. To realize the purity, perfectness, perfect quality of purity in our own hearts. I'll talk about some of the different ways that we can cultivate this purity of the heart and mind, and we can open up to the purity of our own hearts. A quote from Sharon Salzberg, who wrote a book titled Loving Kindness, which is on Metta, a beautiful little book. And Sharon Salzberg says, I see real love as the most fundamental of our innate capacities, never destroyed, no matter what we might have gone through or might yet go through. This quality of love, it's always here, always available. If we're present, we're aware, we're grounded and connected in the body, we're connected with our intentions to cultivate what is wise and skillful. It is actually in the instructions of the Buddha, on the Eightfold Path of Practice, the instructions on how we're to practice meditation. The Buddha says that cultivating an attitude of kindness is key to our practice. It took me a long time to get this. I probably went on 3 years of retreats. And even though the teachers were probably saying what I just said, I thought Metta was just some nice thing on the side. I was after the real goods. I wanted to get to that destination point of freedom, leave that Metta and compassion on the sidelines. But I was wrong. I was really missing out. I went so far as to attend Metta retreats where the practice was simply cultivating Metta, and I would not practice Metta. So driven. We can cultivate it different ways. We can cultivate it with our intentions. I'll speak more about these different practices. Just checking our intentions. Is our intention rooted in kindness? Maybe rooted in ill will or aversion. There's some element of compassion, perhaps some element of cruelty. And this is a part of our practice, just to connect to the body and check in. What is my intention now before speaking and acting? Bringing awareness to that, and then choosing to do a reset if it feels right, to do a reset, to speak and act from kindness. You could say it's really the choice point we have in our lives in the Buddhist understanding. Some people say, well, where is the choice in the Buddhist understanding? The choice is on intentions, choosing to cultivate wholesome intentions. We can cultivate metta through our intentions, through practice with the phrases. Some of you may have practiced with the metta phrases. May I be safe? May I be happy? May I be healthy? May I live with ease? And there's also a radiating practice of metta that the Buddha taught, and I'll quote from the Buddha's words later on in this talk on the quality of radiating metta. Well, I do love this definition of pure metta being pure love. Ayya Khema, a great Buddhist practitioner, teacher, she said that metta is pure love that has no wish to hold and to keep, but is simply given freely. That's the metta. And you can see the edge, like when someone is upset, maybe saying harsh words to us, can we keep staying with the intention of metta? When we see people in the world who are causing harm, can we keep intending to cultivate kindness even for the person who is causing harm? This is how we kind of stretch our hearts open wider, open to the full capacity of our own hearts. Now, this attitude of metta, this quality of metta, there's an element of gentleness and caring. I feel this in myself when I'm actively practicing with metta, maybe practicing on a retreat for a week or two. There's a gentleness that comes forward, a sense of caring. There's a sense of being able to be more intimate with my own direct experience. Maybe when I experience suffering, maybe physical pain or illness, that I can meet it with kindness and care rather than judgment or reactivity. And there's a sense of empathy that can come forward too. When I cultivate metta, I feel like I can come closer to others' experiences, that I can see what the others' experience might be like. And it really opens the heart up to feel the interconnectedness between all of us. And in some ways, metta can open so widely that at times my happiness, sense of my happiness can't even be separated from your happiness or someone else's happiness. That's the overall direction of the practice. As metta is cultivated, in my own experience too, the heart becomes more malleable and flexible, so that when metta is present, I live right near Market and Castro. I've been really cultivating metta, sense of metta is there. I walk out on the street, I see a homeless person, plenty of homeless people in the neighborhood. Maybe there's some small element of compassion. I walk further down the street, people are laughing, smiling. There's some element of joy, part of joy. And that natural responsiveness of the heart to see and know what is present will allow the heart to respond to that. I wanted to mention too, I always feel a sense of metta in the Sangha. You may not use that word to describe the Sangha, but it might be worth reflecting on. You feel that sense of kindness, friendliness, just coming in early and seeing folks in the couches, chatting with each other, feeling the warmth. Even when I see some of you outside of the space, I see James at the gym sometimes, or one of you in the grocery store just the other day. I feel a sense of metta, basic friendliness, kindness, care. This sense of metta is different from what we feel for our partner or our loved one. I've been with my husband for 32 years, and there are some attachments. It's natural. It's not wrong to feel attachments. So we feel that for a partner, or even for a good friend, for a family member. It's like we're giving something, we're getting something. I think in our 32 years together, we're both practitioners. We've let go a lot of the small stuff, getting upset, getting triggered so easily. But there's a lot more metta in the relationship overall, but there still are attachments. A little bit about metta on the path of practice. I'm sure some of you have heard of the Eightfold Path of Practice that the Buddha referred to as the direct path of practice for awakening. And the Buddha didn't say it's the only path. He said it's a direct path to awaken, to free the heart and mind from confusion, to realize the happiness, the peace. It's not dependent on our health, not dependent on finances, not dependent on even the conditions in the world. This is the direction of our practice. The path of practice, Eightfold Path, leads in the direction of this peace. On the Eightfold Path, the two wisdom factors are wise view and wise intention. And wise view at the basic level recognizes that actions have consequences without exception. Actions have consequences without exception. If we yell at somebody, get mad, we're going to feel the rattleness afterwards. Maybe they yell back at us. There's a consequence. We know that. Maybe we're kind to someone. We're very patient and go out of the way to help someone. We may feel that in our heart. We feel a connection to another person. We feel the goodness in our own hearts. Actions have consequences. In the Buddhist understanding, then with wise view, there is wise intention, which recognizes there's an intention for every single action. We rarely catch it, can't possibly catch every single intention, but you had an intention to come here this morning. There's an intention right now to listen. There's an intention that's always present for an action. It's remarkable that it's always there, but we see it so very rarely. And the Buddha said there's three aspects of wise intention that we are to cultivate. We're to cultivate metta, kindness. It's the intention of kindness in every moment. The intention of compassion. Should discomfort arise, or should suffering be seen? Metta, compassion, and renunciation. What renunciation means is letting go of attachments, letting go of reactivity, letting go to accept our present experience just as it is. So these three qualities of wise intention are what the Buddha calls upon us to cultivate: metta, compassion, letting go. Now, we can hear about the practice and it sounds so hard, but these are three pretty good things to cultivate, because not only do they support seeing more clearly, they actually bring forth happiness in themselves. And we cultivate metta, we feel happy. When we're compassionate, we feel a connection to others. And we let go. And we let go of things needing to be a particular way. I was just talking to one of the Sangha members about how he had let go of trying to figure out. Just listen to his heart and what his heart is calling for, but not try and figure out. That's renunciation. Letting go of needing to know, needing to understand. And there's a peace that comes with that. We bring these qualities, these intentions of metta, compassion, renunciation into every part of our experience. We do that even when we sit, even when we're doing a meditation. The intention, like, to meet our experience with kindness. We're aware of the breath. Maybe we experience a discomfort in the body. We feel pain in the knee or the back. The call of practice, meet it with compassion. Not judgment, not turning away from, I'm suffering. This is uncomfortable. We make peace with things as they are by bringing compassion in that way. And our meditations are called upon to just let go. Let go and receive our experience as it is, not try and make it any different than it is. This is how we begin to see peace directly. We can begin to see right in a meditation, right in a single moment of time, that when we cling to, I need to get rid of this back pain or knee pain, we suffer even more. And if we just, this is unpleasant, we can find peace right in the middle of discomfort. Like we're finding in that moment the truth of the way things are, that it is the clinging and holding on, the reactivity, that is the cause of our mental suffering, and we can be entirely free of it. And when we just let go and receive, it really doesn't matter what is present, peace is there. And in any moment when we recognize we're caught and we're just kind and compassionate, accepting the moment as it is, and we let go and in effect say, it's like this now, we welcome to the third noble truth, that peace is possible. Peace is possible in any moment. It's so close, it can seem so far away during Buddhist teachings, like the goal, reaching freedom, but it's right there in the very moment. Letting go. A little bit more on how to cultivate metta, and I'll give some examples of my own life, just the last few days of how I've been practicing with metta. I really made it a practice in my work life for many years. My primary point of trying to bring practice to work was to check my intention before a phone call, before a meeting. Just check, what is my intention? And, in many ways it was a complete failure, because I probably only remembered about 1/2 of 1% of the time. That was actually pretty good, because it gradually started to just reset the habitual pattern of the heart and mind, so that more naturally, kindness, ease, a sense of letting go started to arise. And it wasn't that for many years of work that I was practicing with it, but aversion and ill will and reactivity never arose, but they gradually started to lose the power that they once had. It's really key when we check intentions to be able to see, like, when there is ill will or aversion, and then we can replace it with metta. Sometimes it's, there's aversion. And James and I go to the same gym and probably connect all of many. And anyone who goes to the gym can connect with this. You arch your locker and someone walks up and takes the locker right next to you. Like I could, it's like what the mind does. Like the mind fell into a little reactivity, a rooting. Person just opening up a locker. That's pretty silly. Okay, look at that. The mind is falling into aversion over this. Metta. Metta for me, because I'm suffering aversion. Metta for this other person. And just shifting the attitude of the mind right in that moment by bringing attention to the aversion and then dropping in the seed of metta. Metta, metta, or may you be safe, may I be safe, happy, healthy, live with ease. I bring it in a lot when times when I can't sleep at night. The other night, mind was really racing, and started saying metta phrases. It sometimes helps and calm things down. Reactivity around not being able to sleep will drop away. This time it just brought up more energy to repeat that phrase. It wasn't completely didn't work. Okay, so shift. Just bring attention, metta to the body. Just feel the weight of the body on the mattress. Metta. Just calming the heart and mind in that way. That's another way to practice. Last night, a way I practiced with it, my partner and I went to Black Cat, a jazz club in the city. It's on Leavenworth and Hyde. So we right in the Tenderloin. I like to not be unafraid of walking anywhere in the city. So we took Muni down to Civic Center and walked right through the Tenderloin up Leavenworth. And it's an unpleasant scene. And we got to the club, and then I realized, I was been kind of checked out. It was aversion. I could recognize I'd been feeling aversion walking up the street. A lot of trash, people on the sidewalk. No one was hassling us. But it was just unpleasant. And so I checked out because it was unpleasant. Because now I could then recognize there was no intention of kindness or really letting go to be present and receive the experience. I told my husband then when we were leaving, let's not take an Uber, let's walk back so I can re-experience that. And to be present in the body, feel the body walking, to feel feet on the ground, and see, actually, there's some people smiling, laughing. Not everybody seemed to be suffering. Some people were. And there was a full range of humanity out there that I kind of missed out on. And there wasn't like this giant opening of heart, but there was some sense of presence, some sense of heart connection in a very gentle, subtle way to what I was seeing. And just seeing the experience in an entirely different way, be present like that. I'll give one more example. A couple of weeks ago, this is something I've worked with over the years in practice. Like when I used to get sick, I would really get upset. This isn't the time to get sick. Why me? Tighten up. I gotta do this quickly. It never helps. And so a couple of days ago, a little GI stuff going on. It's wiped out. Okay. I am the teacher too, so I should be practicing with Metta. So I started just lay down on the couch and just gently, safe, happy, healthy, ease, and gently shifting the attitude so I could be with my experience with kindness and compassion. And, sometimes I forget, but more regularly when the illness comes, I'm able to bring in metta and compassion. And such a great thing to be able to have that tool available as we age, to be able to go in that direction very naturally. When we open to compassion, we're deeply supporting our practice, because the Buddha said we have to understand suffering and to come close to suffering, to see how mind falls into reactivity, to see and know suffering directly. We have to be kind and compassionate to ourselves. It just isn't possible to realize this first noble truth of suffering if we can't bring in kindness and compassion. That's what I was missing so clearly in my first 3 to 5 years of practice. We can also cultivate metta with phrases. The classic phrases that in the Sudhimagga are, may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease. And these are, you can think of as the universal wishes of all beings. All beings want to be safe, happy, healthy, live with ease. I can even see this with my dog. He protects his whole body really well. He wants to be safe. He likes to be happy. He doesn't want to be sick. He likes to have ease. And sometimes even with bugs, if you ever, like it's when I teach at Spirit Rock, especially, you see everybody in the hall. The bug gets in the hall, I'll catch it with a glass and see the bug get scared. Want to get out of being trapped. So even creatures want to be safe, happy, healthy, live with ease. So we can repeat these phrases as a way of cultivating metta. When I teach metta retreats, the retreat coming up in August, that's all practitioners will be doing for 10 days is just repeating those phrases. All they do. First time I ever went on a metta retreat, I thought I was going to go crazy. The heart really opened up. So sometimes when I do a lot of long walks in the city, I'm also a swimmer, and I go for walks. I'll sometimes just drop in those phrases. Sometimes I'll forget, just come back into them. Sometimes someone catches my attention on the street and safe, happy, ease, and have fun with it. Fun to do in the muni car. Just randomly pick someone and meditative. Lanishka calls it gorilla metta. gorilla metta. And it's great. I know I think Marvin's online. Marvin, in my Monday night group, we're both swimmers, and we both practice with the metta phrases when we swim. One phrase per breath is the way I do. And then the radiating metta. This is a form of practice I started bringing in more lately. It's in the Buddhist texts. Bringing in metta, scanning the body, bringing in metta to the body, and then gradually beginning to radiate metta outwards in all directions. It's a very powerful, accessible tool. I'll post on my website a link to a guided meditation. If you're curious to hear, I'll try and do that today. The instructions from the Buddha are: one abides, pervading 1/4 with a mind imbued with loving kindness. Likewise, a second quarter, likewise, a third quarter, likewise, a fourth quarter. So above, below, around, and everywhere, and all to oneself, one abides, pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without envy. It can draw inspiration too from people you might know who seem to radiate kindness. And it can be random people. Sometimes just a cashier in a grocery store, he always seems friendly. It can inspire us to bring more metta into our lives. I remember seeing Sylvia Borstein, who was my teacher for many years. I'm sure some of you know who she spoke to many times. And she kind of radiates metta. It's a pretty abiding quality in her presence. And I just saw her walk into a hall. I had never even talked to her. 100 people in a big hall. I walked in, I could see her at the front of the hall, and she was just radiating kindness and a real sense of happiness too. So I think of His Holiness the Dalai Lama as well, as someone who has a more abiding sense of metta. And the Buddha said it's so important to bring metta to ourselves. The Buddha said we should always begin with offering metta to ourselves. The Buddha said no one, in effect, more deserving of our love and affection than ourselves. And you can think of it this way, that to open our hearts to others, we really have to be kind and caring for ourselves. And so often I find with practitioners that's one of the harder things for people to do. The judgments around I'm not good enough or I'm doing it wrong, they're so unhelpful. Like our best friends would never say those things to us, but somehow we say those things to ourselves. And a great substitution phrase, my teacher friend Temple Smith uses this phrase a lot. He uses it in his own practice. May I love and accept myself just as I am. May I love and accept myself just as I am. And you could use that kind of as an antidote, like anytime you feel that judgment coming in, not good enough, not doing it right, especially gay men, we kind of, maybe the older generation, like my generation, kind of programmed into us of not good enough. So they're actually dropping the seed. May I love and accept myself just as I am. It's kind of replacing, cutting off that judgmental thought and just dropping in like a seed of wisdom, a seed of truth. Loving and accepting ourselves just as we are. That's what's going to support clarity and happiness and freedom. There's this beautiful quote from Mother Teresa. An inspiration, Metta. Let no one ever leave you without ever feeling happy. And I thought 2 years ago, I did a year's stint as executive director, interim executive director at Spirit Rock. And I thought that's going to be my intention. I'm going to have that taped up in my office. It's going to be in my intention to really practice with it. It wasn't so easy. Not everybody I saw who came into my office met you're not happy. But I could keep coming back to it, keep coming back to the intention, and keep coming back to being present, and to be able to see when that intention wasn't there, and to just return to cultivating what is wise and skillful. It's not about being perfect. It's about just continuing the practice, keeping the connection to the here and now through the body, choosing to cultivate what is wise and skillful, kindness, compassion, sense of letting go. There's this beautiful quote. I think this is a little different version than you have on your website. Hatred never heals through hatred. Hatred is healed by love alone. This is the eternal law in the Buddha. And it's true at every level. Like, we need to recognize that when we feel anger, when we feel grief, when we feel irritation, the antidote isn't judging ourselves for being angry. The antidote is love. The love is like loving awareness. I'm suffering. I'm angry. This is what it feels like. Sometimes, maybe a fair amount of the time, when we just recognize it, we'll just drop away because it loses power upon being seen. And other times we may have to stay with it longer, just be kind and compassionate with the anger, hold it like the crying baby that needs attention, giving it the loving attention, allowing love to be the antidote. So we're called upon to do it at this very personal level, and then looking at what's present in the world. It's quite an edge, but to recognize that the people who are causing the greatest harm, we can't counter them with hatred. That's not going to be the cure. We can't counter their force of hatred, of ignorance. With hatred, we have to meet it with love. That's going to be the cure. And it is an edge. Like, we all can naturally get upset by things we're seeing. It's helpful at times to connect with that understanding of actions have consequences. So to recognize that a being who is causing great harm, there will be karmic consequences. I don't know what they'll be. Only a Buddha can know, but there will be a consequence for someone who is killing other beings. there will be a price that they will pay in this lifetime or another lifetime. And we can really hold that with some being with compassion to recognize they're going to experience more suffering as a result of the harmful actions they're causing. Now, hatred never heals through hatred. Hatred is healed by love alone. This is the eternal law. It's something we can just keep coming back to again and again. And sometimes I hear other teachers say that it's like hatred versus love. And in fact, love doesn't stand in opposition to anything. Love loves. Love loves whatever is present. Now that's what we're cultivating. And that's the true nature of our own hearts and minds. Our hearts can meet every experience with love, with acceptance. And this can open to freedom and liberation. We probably most often hear, as I've talked about, the path of practice, mindfulness, insight practice, mindfulness meditation that leads toward freedom and liberation. But the Buddha also said cultivating the beautiful qualities of the heart can lead to awakening. If any of you are really into the suttas, you can see this in the simile of the cloth. And the Buddha talks about pervading the whole world, as I quote from with Metta, and in the whole world, all directions with compassion, in the whole world with supportive joy, and in the whole world with equanimity. No boundaries, no limitations, cultivating these divine abodes of the heart. And the Buddha says explicitly, this opens to Nibbana. Like there's two different directions we can go with practice. We can go toward the insight meditation practice. We can go toward the heart quality practice, the metta, compassion, supportive joy, equanimity. I think I bring in both into my own practice. I teach both, but it's important to know that the heart practices can lead to freedom and awakening. I want to be mindful of time. I'll pause here. We'd like to end about one of time for questions, Henry. We end about 5 or 12. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That way we have time.
So we have time. So why don't I end it here? And thank you for your attention and encouragement for you to cultivate metta. It will bring forth happiness. It will bring forth a sense of connection to others. It will allow you to come into more direct contact with your own beautiful heart, and it will support awakening. That's my offering of the Buddhist teaching. Yes.
Yeah, when you first started talking about this being a friendly place of open-heartedness, I think I have some understanding of metta is unconditionality, but I thought, a few weeks ago we had Gail Borland speak, and he talked about how all the great beings that he knows of had times of been with them were fearless, without fear. And it strikes me that thinking kind of that fierceness in a way. Gandhi was pretty fierce. And how do you, I imagine Thich Nhat Hanh with his sunflower winding through the tender one, and he could really do it, I'm sure.
It's
so,
yeah,
there's such conviction in it.
That's a beautiful reflection. And can folks online hear the question, or do I need to repeat it? Folks here?
Yeah.
Question around fear and fierceness and awakening. And the Buddha actually taught the metta practice. First teaching of metta was as an antidote to fear. And fear drops away. The heart becomes undefended. And there's a natural clarity when the heart is undefended, when the heart is open, like we know what needs to be done. We know what needs to be said. We don't need to think about it. It almost comes more from the heart than from a thinking process. And someone like Gandhi great spiritual leaders, there is a sense of a fierceness because it's so clear in their own hearts and minds on what is the right action to take or the right words to speak. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that in.
How do you distinguish between metta and compassion? Because they seem really similar to me, but how are they sort of different?
They're really close. Metta is like the foundation. So metta is a basic kindness and caring. Compassion arises in response to a condition. When suffering is seen or known, like you hear of a friend who's ill, like your breath goes away. I'm sorry. I hope you recover soon. That's compassion. It's just a natural responsiveness of the heart. But underneath that, there's that underlying attitude of kindness and care, and compassion naturally arises. And it's interesting, it's so, the way supportive joy, which is mudita is a word, Pali word, is so close to compassion because like when metta is present, when kindness and care, we see suffering, we naturally wish it end. We see the happiness of another, we naturally wish to continue. That's mudita, supportive joy. So that's that malleability of the heart. And metta, again, a little bit more sustaining quality. Gandhi probably had a lot of natural metta, loving kindness, probably equanimity, great peace. But at times you see this with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His heart is so responsive, it can immediately feel and connect with suffering. It can immediately feel joy and happiness. So compassion, mudita more arise in response to conditions. Metta, equanimity are a little bit more abiding quality. Looks like equanimity is one of the more frequent subjects of talks here. I was like, I haven't given a talk on equanimity. I think that seems like it shows up a lot.
There's a question online.
Okay.
From Barbara.
Hi, John. I just want to thank you very much for your talk. And you mentioned that when you see Sylvia Bornstein, that you feel that she just radiates kindness. And I just want to say that I feel that very much about you. I think you very much radiate compassion and kindness, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Barbara. That's very sweet. Thank you. I'd like to be known as the metta guy. It's an attachment.
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
You mentioned right at the start of your talk about pure love. And I'm interested in the question of like, how do we know whether our feelings are pure or not pure? And you said if you're with a partner for a long time, that there's inevitably going to be attachment. So how do you deal with that?
It's to see the attachments. It's interesting. I will often say offering metta for a pet can be a real good, easy connection. And there I was on a first week of a month-long retreat, just practicing with metta, offering metta for my dog, real easy, like natural. All of a sudden, a thought starts arising. Gee, I wish you wouldn't bark when dogs walk by our house. Oh, there's a little bit of attachment there. And just seeing that, nothing really needs to be done with that. Just, there's some attachment. I'll just go back to the phrases for my dog Gandalf, and eventually it'll start to drop away a little. But we see that, like we may start to see metta for a good friend. We think that's really easy. And then all of a sudden we say, oh, yeah, I wish it would be a little bit better about calling me. And we start to see when attachments are coming up and can begin to let go of them. It's like the metta practice begins to purify us. Like it does the work for us in some ways. Oh, Marvin, I hope you didn't mind that I outed you, but you use some metta phrases and swimming. It's a great fun practice. But there's different ways. It's really nice to do in walking. Sometimes just do a shorthand, safe, happy, healthy, ease. I hear some people who are musically inclined will kind of sing those words. Yes.
I have a strange question.
Mhm.
Sometimes like life or work can put you maybe in an adversarial position, like if you're negotiating, for example, like right, like
I'm sorry, what is two words?
like if you're negotiating at work, for example,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Which feels sometimes adversarial.
Yeah.
How do you think of meta in situations like when you're like one decision
Yeah.
will make one person win or lose, the other person lose?
I really tried in my workplace to change that dynamic because there's a lot of work on construction contracts, which is usually very adversarial. And started by saying, okay, could we start by trusting each other? Could we just say what our goals are, each of our goals? And could we agree to treat each other with respect? And we agree to try and find common ground. It's kind of like take a step back at the beginning, kind of in effect say, I see you. I want to understand your perspective. I want you to understand my perspective. Now, can we begin the conversation? That would be like an approach, a kind approach, and when you're in those situations too, just the encouragement to really keep the connection to the body, feel the body on the chair, and like feel like what's going on. It'll keep you connected to what's going on in your own heart and mind, so you can see when you might start to feel reactive, which is natural, to just pause. Oh, there's anger. I'm feeling upset. Take a deep breath. Can I be calm now? Can I speak calmly? A lot of times at work, I would, if I couldn't get back to a place of calmness, I'd just say, could we take a break and come back in 10 minutes? And like, I didn't want to be saying words that were unskillful.
Thank you.
Great question.
Well, perhaps it's the time for us to wrap up. Thank you, John.